Hi everyone, I'm Ritika. Today we're going to be working on mobilizing our shoulders. We'll be also working on stabilizing our midsection, our core, and we will be doing all of this mindfully and with attention to our breath. Let's begin. Grab 2 blocks and a bolster, and let's come on to our bellies. So take your time. Let's come down to our bellies, coming up on our forearms. So the elbows can be far away from you if this feels good just to begin, or they can be closer to your shoulders, so maybe even right under the shoulders, as wide as the shoulders, pressing into the tops of your feet, keeping the legs as straight as possible. Feel free to grab some padding for your knees if the knees are on a hard surface. And let's just take a few breaths here, just gently taking our gaze right in front of us. Few breaths here. So we're not necessarily pulling our shoulders back, but we're just letting the chest open as naturally as it would. On the next exhale, tucking the chin towards the chest, we'll begin pressing into the elbows and rounding up the back between the shoulder blades, and taking that rounding all the way to the belly, and maybe the belly will lift up. And as we exhale, we will release the belly down and once again open through the chest, sending our gaze forward. 2 more. Chin tucks into the chest, pressing into the elbows, rounding through the thoracic spine. Maybe the belly lifts up an inch or 2, and then releasing down. It's hard to talk because it might look like a really harmless movement, but we're using a lot of core muscles here as we lift that belly up. 1 more time. Chin to chest, pressing into the elbows, rounding through the upper back, and then releasing down. And let's just take our head down, making a pillow with the hands, forehead to the hands. And just noticing the breath. Noticing any thoughts that may come up. Noticing the expansion as the inhale enters the body. And the release as the exhale leaves the body. A few more breaths here. And then on the next inhale, we will make the body really long, and without necessarily changing the head, although feel free to take your right ear to your hands or your left ear, or you can keep your forehead on the palms. Lengthening through that right leg and lifting the right leg up. Set it down. Lifting the left leg up and down. Doesn't really matter if your toes are pointed or flexed. You can experiment with both, but we're just alternating legs here. So the left leg lifts up, release it down, right leg up, down, left and right, left and right. One more each side. And then release. And then bringing the hands in, pressing into the hands, coming onto the knees and moving straight to all fours. So hands right under the shoulders, knees under the hips. We're going to take a few rounds of cat-cow here at your own pace. So really slowing it down, starting at the tailbone, lifting the tailbone up, taking that through the lower back, the mid back, the upper back, and then the head. As you exhale, tuck the chin into the chest, press into the hands, and let that movement move all the way down the tailbone. Inhale to arch the spine, starting at the tailbone, sending it all the way up. Exhale to round, tucking the chin into the chest, rounding through the upper back, mid back, and the lower back. Taking any other small movements, perhaps moving the hips from side to side, moving them forwards and back, pressing into the fingers, nice and strong, taking a circle in one direction and then in the other, and then back to center. All right, so here, make sure you have space on both sides because of what we're about to do. Pressing both hands into the mat, we're going to try to keep this quadruped position without changing the spine. The spine stays long as we lift the right hand off the mat. Just a few inches, send back down, lift the left hand off. Yeah? Down. Right hand lifts up, set it down, left hand lifts up, down, right and left, right and left. So we can stay with this movement, or we can move a little bit into our shoulder from here. The right hand moves forward as if we're shaking hands. We take it out to the side, turn it around, bend at the elbow, and then hover right over our lower backs. So we could rest it at our lower back, palm facing up, or we can float and then bring it forward. Again at shaking position and then release. With the left hand, arm shaking, left arm forward, take it out to the side, turn the palm so that the palm is facing up, elbows bent, floating it right over the lower back, and then bring it forward again. Now we can stay with this, or to make it a little bit more challenging, we can take a block at our lower back. Right hand moves forward, bend the elbow, take a circle, hovering right over that block, or maybe even just resting at the block, and then forward, release. So not only are we working on mobilizing our shoulder here, we're also working on our core strength. Takes a lot of effort to keep that spine long. One more time on the right side and on the left side. Right arm moves forward and release, and left arm forward, shaking hands, big circle out to the side, bend at the elbow, hover right over the block, and then bring it in. Great. Let's take that block off. Knees wide, hips to heels, child's pose. Few breaths here. Feel free to keep your arms forward, active, or by the sides of your hips. One more breath. And as we exhale, let's come back to hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Let's tuck the toes, lift the knees a few inches, really finding tension through the core, keeping the arms strong, the legs are strong. Holding this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then sending the hips up, sending the spine long and the torso towards the thighs. We're going to move into our first downward facing dog. Keep the feet as wide as the hips. Do whatever you need to in your first downward dog. So if that means finding stillness, pedaling through the feet, whatever you need to do. One more breath here. And then make your way to the front of the mat. Feet wide. Let the head go. Keep the knees bent. And the next inhale, slowly begin to rise up. Take your time. Vertebrae by vertebrae, moving all the way up. Roll your shoulders back. And just closing your eyes for a breath here. Rooting down through the feet. Notice your breath, your beating heart. And then slowly opening your eyes. Great. As the next inhale, let's take our arms all the way up, holding that left wrist with the right hand, pulling the left arm towards the right side, getting a nice stretch through the left. Back to center, holding the right wrist with the left hand, pulling the right wrist to the left. And back to center. Arms come down. And then rolling all the way down. Chin tucks into the chest, rounding through the shoulders, keeping the knees soft. Taking your time, moving one vertebrae after the other. Keeping the knees soft really helps articulate through the spine. Take any other small movements here that you feel like. Perhaps moving side to side. Coming all the way down. And the next inhale, take your hands to your thighs, to your shins. Find that long spine, ground to tailbone. And then holding this position, perhaps the arms move back. So finding that long spine here. We're going to keep it as we find engagement through the core. Holding it here for 3, 2, and 1. And then releasing the hands down, let's move to plank. Pressing into the hands, keeping the legs really strong. As we exhale, we bring the knees down and come all the way down. Coming onto the tops of the feet, pressing into the hands, right under the shoulders, lifting the head, neck, and chest up. Exhale to release down. Press into the hands, come onto the knees, and moving to downward dog. 3 breaths here. Letting the head be heavy. Feet parallel to one another. One more breath. And walking the feet to the front. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale to fold. Press into the feet, come all the way up, arms reaching up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arm up. Exhale to fold. Take your hands to your thighs or your shins. Long spine. And then maybe the arms move back again. So finding that extension through the spine here. Keeping the knees bent. Staying here for one more breath. Perhaps lifting the arms up a little bit more. Great. Hands come down, move to plank. Hold that plank for one more breath. And then either the knees come down or we come all the way down in one piece. Coming to the tops of the feet, hands under the shoulders, or sliding them a little bit closer to the ribs this time. Pressing into the hands, lifting the head, neck, and chest. Exhale to fold. Press into your hands. Come on to the knees. Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Notice where the mind goes as you move through familiar poses. And especially if familiar poses seem unfamiliar today. One more breath. Walking the feet to the front of the mat. Feet together or hips width, always your choice. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale to fold. Press into the feet. Come all the way up, arms lift up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms lift up. Bend the knees, moving into Utkatasana, chair pose. We're going to try to keep our torso away from the thighs as we bend the knees a little bit more, sending the hips down, arms up or parallel to the floor. Whatever feels good here. Exhale, bring the hands down. Walk the feet back to plank. Strong plank. Knees come down and then we move all the way down to the mat. Coming onto the tops of the feet, pressing into the hands, lifting the head, neck and chest. Exhale, downward dog. Take your time. Taking one deep breath at downward dog. Lifting that right leg up. Bending that right knee and walking that right foot between the hands. Left knee comes down, arms lift up. On the next exhale, we will twist to the right side. So the left arm moves forward, right arm moves back. Inhale, come back up. Back to the center, arms lift up. Exhale, hands come down. Lift that left knee up and move back to downward dog. Take a deep inhale here. On the next exhale, lift that left leg up. Bend the left knee. Hug that knee into the chest and walk that left foot between the hands. Send the right knee down. Arms lift up. Keeping both legs strong in our lunge. Now twisting towards the left side, the right arm comes forward and the left arm moves back. The neck is relaxed. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hands come down. Moving back to downward dog. One more breath here. And then we make our way back to the front of the mat. Feet together or hips width. Inhale, find that long spine. Exhale, fold. Press into the feet, bend the knees, arms lift up, chair pose. Exhale, hands to heart, standing tall. Take a moment here. Great. Inhale, arms lift up. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Inhale, find that long spine again. Exhale, hands down, left leg moves back, left knee comes down, arms lift up. Keep the legs strong. Exhale, twisting to the right side, left arm moves forward, right arm moves back. Inhale, arms reach up, coming back to center. This time taking the hands to the right thigh, maybe leaning forward, lifting the left knee off the mat. Feel free to rest your left knee on the floor, that's totally fine. Or we can move into a high lunge here. Arms up. One breath here. Keep bending into that front knee. And as we exhale, we are going to bring a block or our left hand on the inside of that right leg and come into a twist. Again, you have the option of resting that left knee on the floor. Exhale, bring the right hand down. And then walking the left foot to meet the right. Fold forward. Hold on to opposite elbows and just release for a moment. And then release your arms. Take your hands to your thighs. Inhale for a long spine. Exhale, bring the hands down. Right leg moves back, right knee comes down, arms lift up. As we exhale, twisting to the left side again, right arm moves forward, left arm moves back. Inhale, arms reach up, coming back to center. Hands to the left thigh, leaning forward, lifting the right knee off the floor. Arms lift up. Keep bending into that left leg. Keep the right leg really strong. Exhale, coming into a twist. The right hand comes on a block or on the mat, and the left arm lifts up. Exhale, left arm comes down. Walk that right foot in to meet the left. and fold forward. This time let's take our legs wide as the mat, holding onto our opposite elbows, and just release. Take a break, take a breath here. Move your hips from side to side, that feels good. And then we're going to walk our feet in just a little bit. So the heels in, toes out, send the hips right down, and really get into a proper malasana. This can be rest. So really lengthening through the spine here, hands at heart or hands can be right in front. Feel free to be on your toes here if that feels better. Feel free to rest your bum on a block. It's all good options. Taking that right hand to the mat, lift the left arm up. Left hand to the mat, right arm up. One more time, both sides. Right hand comes down, left arm moves up. Left hand down, right arm up. Back to center. You're going to come to stand here. Remove that block. And then slowly rolling up or coming up with a flat back, coming into Tadasana. Taking a breath here. And then opening the eyes. And so taking the hands to the waist, sending our weight to the right leg, lifting that left leg up. So lifting that left leg any amount, keeping the knee bent, straightening out through that left leg, making a big semicircle with that left leg, and your torso will automatically start leaning forward just to provide counterbalance. Then sending that leg back, and it doesn't matter what this looks like, but essentially we are trying to come into Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. Toes are pointing down, spine is long, arms wherever you feel good and supported, and then slowly taking that semicircle, bringing that leg in front of us and releasing it. There's a lot that's going on here. This leg strength, core stability, lots of stuff. Hip movement. Let's do that again. So sending the weight to the right leg, left leg lifts up, and then drawing that semicircle with our toes, leaning the torso forward, trying to keep the spine as long here as possible, and then the toes are pointing down. And then bring it in. It's okay if you lose your balance here. It's great to challenge our balance. And then doing it on the right side. So again, find your breath. Hands to the waist, hugging that right knee into the chest, lengthening the right leg, taking that semicircle here, sending the toes back, and perhaps finding a flex through the foot. I didn't mention that on the other side, but for the toes to point down, you kind of have to flex. We can definitely experiment with a pointed foot as well. See how that feels. And then bringing that leg forward and releasing. Okay, let's do that again. Right toes point forward, right leg lengthens. Making a bit, making that big semicircle. Okay, I clearly need more space, so maybe you'll have better luck than me. Keep sending that leg back, leaning the torso forward. Find a place to focus on. Keep the breath long. If you fall out of it, come back. It's all but natural to fall out of it. And then slowly coming back in, use the wall. Wow, my left leg was just not playing today. All right, let's come back to the center. Come back to the top of our mat. Inhale, arms lift up. Exhale, bend the knees and fold. Inhale, find a long spine. Exhale, bring the hands down. Let's move to plank. Take a deep inhale here. As you exhale, come all the way down. Press into the hands, lifting the head, neck, and chest, keeping the legs strong. Exhale to release the forehead down. Press into the hands, come onto the knees and child's pose. Come back to your breath. It's time to slow down now. Slowing down the breath. And then slowly coming up. We're going to bring the legs out in front of us. Feel free to grab some padding to sit on. That helps you sit nice and tall. You can also keep the knees bent. Arms right by the hips here. So they will help us stay long in the spine. We're going to lift that right leg up, set it down, left leg down. And maybe the hands right behind the hips can help too, definitely. So see what works for you. I'm alternating between the legs. The right leg lifts up and the left. Right, left. And there's a little pause at the top. Right and left. One more. And on the left. And then just sitting really straight, long spine, hands by the sides. Close your eyes. Noticing all those component parts that it takes to sit up this straight. One more breath here. And then hugging the knees into the chest, rounding through the back, just taking a moment here. Moving into Baddha Konasana, taking the soles of the feet to touch. If you've got those blocks and the knees are quite far away from the floor, feel free to take them right at the thigh, right under the knee. And this might help the hips feel supported and not too tight. Inhale, find that long spine here. Exhale, using that hip hinge to fold forward any amount. And every time we close our eyes, it's an invitation to just move a little inward. But if for some reason that doesn't feel good, feel free to keep the eyes open. Coming back to the sensations in the body, the sounds around us. the temperature of the room. One more breath here. And then pressing into the hands, slowly coming out. We're going to take the knees together and move into a lying down position, coming to lie down on our backs. So hugging the knees into the chest. Hugging that right knee into the chest. As the left foot comes down on the mat. And then straightening out through that right leg. Just pointing and flexing the foot a few times. Taking a few circles in one direction and in the other direction. And then bending that right knee, opening that right hip and taking that right ankle on the left thigh, closer to the left knee. And we can stay here if this is already quite a stretch through that right hip. Or we can begin to bring that left thigh closer to our torso. So stop wherever you feel a good enough stretch. We don't want to go in too deep. We want to keep this as active as possible. One more breath here. Can we relax our facial muscles? Can we relax through our shoulders, through our jaw? And then bringing that left foot back on the mat, bringing the right foot back on the mat, hugging the left knee into the chest. Straightening out through that left leg, pointing and flexing a few times here. And then taking circles in one direction and in the other. Then bending the left knee, opening the left hip, taking the left ankle on the right thigh, just under the right knee. We can stay here, or we can start hugging that right foot into the chest. Again, relaxing every other part of the body that is not working right now. Taking deep breaths. And then releasing that right foot to the mat, releasing the left foot to the mat, and preparing yourselves for Shavasana. You can come to a seated position if that feels more comfortable. You can take your legs up the wall if you're close to a wall, or you can just come into a traditional Shavasana with your legs out, away from the body, arms by your sides. Letting the body be heavy now. Letting it be held. Becoming an observer of the breath and of the thoughts that may come and go. Without fighting the thoughts, just reminding yourself of what is actually, factually happening right now. I can keep coming back to this present moment. Letting the body feel safe, letting the mind feel safe in this moment. Sthiram Sukham Asanam. Every yoga asana requires stability and ease, just like life itself. Stability and ease. Ease to go with the flow of life. Stability to not be swayed by every distraction that comes our way. Finding this equilibrium is really what life is about. Taking a deeper breath now. Wiggling your fingers and toes, moving your head from side to side. Take your time. Hug the knees in. Come to one side and slowly come to seated. Hands to heart. Thank yourself for practicing today, for taking care of your body and of your mind. I will chant one Om. Feel free to join or listen. Om. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.